All right. Welcome back dito sa latest episode ng Deep Dive. Kasama naman natin yung ating resident constitutional analyst. Medyo makawalang mukha ako. I'm already giving title to people. Kasi si Sir Ronald Llamas ay yung resident Marites analyst. At si Professor Walden Belli naman ating resident Gramscian Marxist analyst. Thank you so much, Justice Carpio, for making time for us today. And pasensya na, medyo late tayo ng konti. Daming tanong sa akin kanina dun sa isang event kay Sara eh.
Thank you for having me again, and good evening to our viewers.
Justice, just to tell you, I feel so good today. Very good today. Amazing today. Alam mo bakit, Justice Carpio? Kahapon pala, binash tayo ng mga DDS trolls. Na, bakit hindi niyo inimbita si Hidarian at yung mga nagsabi na September last year dapat may ICC arrest na fake news daw yon. So dapat daw kasama doon sa hearing ng mga DDS trolls. so, So ngayon, sorry. Si hindi fake news sinasabi. I feel vindicated kasi sabi natin ita-transmit ng Congress yan. So hindi pala fake news. Ano tayo. Justice, kamusta? Kamusta, Justice? What's your sense about finally after 2 months of sitting on this, na-transmit na ito sa Senado? Do you think the scenario really here is pag-usapan lang sa Senado and then produce the vote right after elections? Ganun po ba? Mukhang yun ang most likely scenario, no?
Well, what happened today is the House filed the articles of impeachment with the Senate. The Senate met before it adjourned. It already adjourned. Before it adjourned, it met, but it did not take up, it did not tackle the impeachment. That means because what they could have done was to set the trial dates during the campaign period, but they did not do that. They could have also required Sara to answer because Sara is required to answer within 10 calendar days under the rules of impeachment of the Senate. But they did not do that. They did nothing. So the effect is nothing will happen until June 2 when they return, when the session resumes. And they really don't have time because if they start on June 2, they give Sara 10 days to answer, tapos ng boxing. I mean, you're into the new Senate already. So really, I think they just filed it to keep it there, but the trial will happen in the next Congress.
So you don't see a situation whereby the trial will begin now, but the voting proper final will be after elections. Hindi ganon?
Well, the trial itself will be after the elections, and the voting will be after the elections. Why they're doing that? Well, because there's really no more time.
So
That's I
procedurally,
think
anong excuse ng Senate not to act upon it? Di ba pag transmit sa Senate, the Senate has to act upon it? Hindi ba ganon?
Yeah, but the Senate has a fixed calendar date. They can follow their calendar, and especially many of them are running for re-election. It's their personal interest involved. They would rather campaign.
Yeah, so I think no one is under the illusion that especially yung mga re-electionists ay openly mag-vote against Sara Duterte because margins are very maliit yung margins, 'di ba? From the number 6 to 12, 'di ba? Siguro yung mga number 1 to 3 manlayo yun, pero margins of 6 to 12 parang you're talking about few million or even few 100,000, 'di ba? So completely
Yeah,
understandable kung masyadong ingat yung iba kasi that could lose them the re-election altogether.
yeah. They wouldn't want to lose votes, so they wouldn't want to show their card right now. Those who are in the probably in the lower half of the Senate race, and the Dutertes are still a bit popular in Mindanao. No?
Oh, absolutely.
So
And Vismin, no? But Justice, okay, for the sake of argument lang, because you have been very clear about this na you have been skeptical of the timing and all. Obviously, the worst case scenario would have been na Congress pa lang, i-junk na yan, then the 1 year rule comes in, and then goodbye na yan. Kasi by next year, no one cares about this na. And the dynamics will be different. So at least na-transmit ito. So at the very least, you're gonna have a 5 or 6 months delay until next June to for this to happen, which for me is better than the alternative of Congress just shutting it down, terminating it, and then getting over. And then my sense also, Justice Carpio, is I don't think na pinaakyat ito sa Senate without making sure. Kasi yung isa pang concern, Justice, was not that Senate will not vote enough in favor of impeachment, is that baka i-terminate pa ng Senate yan. You're quite confident that Senate will not terminate it, no? Siguro napag-usapan na yan behind the scenes na, uy, wag niyo naman patayin ito. Hintayin na lang natin after elections. Ganon, di ba?
Yeah, well, the Senate cannot just terminate it because it says that the Senate shall forthwith conduct the trial. So they'll have to to conduct a trial unless Sara Duterte, if she's really sure of her numbers, will just submit it for resolution. No?
Yun nga inisip ko na parang she'll submit it for resolution or there'll be a kangaroo trial. Magdrama si Robin Hood, iyak si Bato de la Rosa, tapos sasabihin ni Cynthia Villar, bababa tayo, ang dami natin kailangan pagsama. So essentially, eventually, like, get rid of it para hindi na ito ma-activate until one more year, di ba? Kasi my sense is, that's also not impossible. Kasi if I'm Duterte, I'm not gonna be comfortable na you'll vote against it lang. Gusto ko, patayin nyo na to. Just kill this impeachment bill for good, diba? Yun ang pupush ko yan. I'll push my luck, kumbaga.
Well, it's also difficult for the Duterte side to kill that without a trial because I think there's a majority, but there's no two-thirds vote. Other than any motion, any issue, other than the verdict, will be decided by a majority of a quorum. So there's a quorum of 13, 7 votes will carry it, now if only 13 will vote. So I think there's enough votes to continue with the trial, but
Right.
to convict is that's a high bar, two-thirds. So
So,
that will be difficult.
so essentially, it's a kind of a deadlock in a sense that there's enough to keep it alive, but not enough to get it across the line until the next
Yes,
Congress. Okay.
as of now, under the
As
present
of now.
Senate.
Exactly, exactly. Now, Justice Carpio, I know, Justice Carpio, man of constitution and rule of law. But of course, naabutan mo ba si Corona back in the day? Si Chief Justice Corona? Nag-abutan ba kayo, Justice?
Ah,
Ni Chief
yes, of
Justice Corona?
course. We were together
Exactly.
in the Supreme Court.
Exactly. So,
Oh,
without
we were actually classmates in Ateneo. In
exactly, exactly. So, God bless his soul. I mean, I may not be a fan of his, whatever predisposition, whatever, but some people would say, baka medyo kailangan mo brasuhan yung ibang senador na, if one thing we learned from the Corona trial is, of course, don't do it to someone like Corona because I don't think he would have voted for GMA. But nevertheless, pwede mo pala brasuhin yung mga ibang senador. What do you think about that? Do you think that would be dangerous? It could backfire or it's not just gonna work at all?
well, you have to consider that these are two different impeachments in the sense that Sara Duterte is a political dynasty. I mean, in Mindanao, they're the favorites still now, no? Uh, the Corona impeachment was just a simple single person involved there. It's not a political dynasty. So the environment surrounding the case is different.
And what about yung kila Jinggoy, Enrile, and Bong Revilla? Hindi ba sila sikat when the Aquino administration went after them? I know it's again not exactly a parallel. May pagka-oranges and apples
I'm
yan. But
losing you.
sorry. What about the Jinggoy Enrile situation? Even though it's not exactly a parallel. I mean, going after Enrile, Jinggoy, all those people.
Can you repeat that,
Sorry, Justice.
Richard?
What about the Jinggoy, Enrile, Bong Revilla one? Hindi ba nagbabraso-braso din sila? Again, I know it's a different case. It's kind of oranges and apples, but wala ba tayong mga precedents that shows that maybe if the executive and all come down with the hammer, that you may able to soften the positioning of some. I mean, for instance, some people are running under the admin, right? They need money. They need resources, right? Hindi kaya pwede sabihin ng admin, oy, baka naman, di ba?
Well, that will all come into play, but the number one constraint now is really the time. There's really no more time, and there's an election, and they would rather attend to their election campaign. But all those things will come into play because they're part of the political environment.
And I hope, just as you understand, bakit ako naka-mafia style? Tony, what do you think? Tell our friends, you have a great chance to win. But, just thinking, I mean, I'm just being realistic, right? Because this is politics. There's going to be a lot of behind the scenes haggling and negotiations and arms twisting. So I'm just being brutally honest about it. I'm not endorsing it. At the end of the day, ang gusto lang naman natin mangyari dito ay sana hindi maging duwag yung ibang senador or sana naman hindi naman sila maging alam mo na, 'di ba? I just want them to look at the facts of the case. Now, Justice, this is now a legal question or maybe prematurely, but do you think as things stand, if theoretically the senators really just do their job, hindi nila i-politicize yan, do you think there's enough evidence to impeach Sara?
Yeah,
Or
based
it's a
on
legal point, yeah.
yeah, based on what came out in the House committee hearings, I think there's enough evidence, and I think what is going to happen, the impeachment of Sarah might become an election issue. In other words, people will say, they will ask the candidates, are you voting for impeachment or not? If you don't vote for impeachment, I will not vote for you. It could reach that point.
Or we'll make sure it will reach that one. Right after this, I'm gonna tweet that. I'm gonna tweet that para lahat ng mga channels, itanong niya sa mga candidates, are you for impeachment or not? I'm sure the easy answer, di ba, Justice, there is no, tignan po natin yung, syempre, dapat siguraduhin natin maganda yung proseso. So we'll look at the evidence. So mga hindi lang makalusod dyan, yung mga bato, yung mga bongko tayo, mga ganun. But you're right. We can make sure, aside from West Philippine Sea, this will also be a central issue. So mamaya manggugulo na naman tayo sa Twitter to set the agenda. Alam mo naman, Justice Carpio, disruptor tayo eh. Disruptors. But going back to this, Justice Carpio, you said that this will be an election issue. So obviously the Dutertes will try to present themselves as kind of like a victims or something like that of a witch hunt and of course the whole Tambalos thing. And this brings us to the, kind of, I won't say differences we have, but kind of some of the concerns I raised in the past, which is yung attack kay BBM, worst budget ever, yung focus sa GAA, mga alleged kababalakan. Hindi ba that could also help the Duterte camp to essentially create a shield around this issue, right? Meaning to weaponize that discourse. I'm glad, by the way, I'm glad that si Chelo Magno the other day posted very clearly and categorically na ang mga Dutertes essentially have no credibility to talk about anti-corruption, right? So I'm glad about that. But I just felt, okay, so Justice, I'm gonna spell it out, right? Kasi ang problema ko, nung morning nung January 31, klarong-klaro sila, Akbayan, klarong-klaro Magdalo, tapos nung isang hapon sa Liwasang Bonifacio, klarong-klaro lahat, impeach Sara. Impeach. Pero nung sa EDSA Shrine, parang mas anti-Marcos or purong GAA, worst budget ever, kasalanan mo to, and then may nilagay silang tarpaulin na purong Martin Romualdez lang makikita. Hindi ako nagbabody shaming, but hindi, parang I just felt na nadadilute yung issue. At I'll be honest, Justice, I saw there were SMNI DDS people there in the EDSA rally. I mean, they were there. I mean, including some of the generals who work with. Okay, what is your take on this, Justice? First, siguro I thought this is more about the one sambayan. Do we need another one sambayan or something like that to make sure coordinated tayo? And to be clear, I am for criticizing the admin on every issue that they deserve to be criticized. I'm just saying parang medyo naguluhan ako ng konti, parang medyo sabog.
Well, the January 31 rally, organized initially by the Clergy for Good Governance, was really to assail the 2025 General Appropriations Act because of the zero budget for PhilHealth, the zero budget for DepEd computerization, and the insertion of pork barrel in the Department of Works budget. No, that was the unifying theme because everybody agreed with that. But as a secondary issue, many organizations were for the impeachment of Sara. So that was also discussed. But you're right. The main theme was really the General Appropriations Act, which we will be questioning before the Supreme Court. And that's really how it came out. That was expected because that was really the first issue that we wanted to bring out.
Hmm. To what degree, Justice, is this just to be clear, of course kasalanan ng kung sino kung may mali talaga sa mga budget issues na yan, ah. Ang point ko lang, to what degree should BBM also be blamed on this in terms of veto? Kasi nag-issue ng, again, one of your former colleague, Bersamin, no? Former Chief Justice, Secretary Bersamin, released something about parang essentially washing off their hands from the GAA issue, di ba? Na hindi, nag-veto naman si BBM, etc. To what degree do you think realistically BBM should be held accountable dito sa mga your concerns with the budget? I mean, does he 100% control the people in the Congress?
Well,
Does
first of
he
all,
afford to overrule them? Like you know, like I'm just talking about actual politics, how things operate. You know.
well, it's hard for BBM to distance himself from the pork barrel because he had a chance to veto the pork barrel in the DPWH, in the ACAP, no? And what he did was he did not veto the pork barrel in the DPWH. He vetoed his own proposals in his national expenditure program. So it's quite obvious, no, that he approved of the pork barrel, but he still has a chance. He can come out today and say, okay, I want Congress to amend the GAA. That can be amended by another law. We will remove all the, we will restore the budget of PhilHealth, we will restore the budget of DepEd, and we will restore the budget of the AFP modernization. And also for the four-piece, we'll restore the budget of the four-piece. And I think that will quiet down everybody.
No,
He still has a chance to redeem himself.
he has a chance to redeem
All he
himself.
has to do is to announce that,
Yeah.
and the I think he still can do it, but I don't know if he will do it.
Yeah, obviously, Justice, we don't want to make announcements again. Baka madami na fake news tayo. No, but Justice, to the degree that you have interacted with BBM, siguro sa, for instance, on Pogo issue, right? In fairness to the guy, it looks like in the end he was amenable enough, right? Is BBM someone whose feet we can keep close to the fire? The reason I'm saying this, Justice Carpio, is because I think some people try to draw an equivalence between the Dutertes and Marcos and say they're basically two sides of the same coin. Meron pa nga resign all, di ba? Yung sila San Lakas yata yan or sa mga kaibigan natin dyan.
The lakas,
Resign
yeah.
all. Like parang, wait lang. Ano, papunta na tayo sa ano na to, RevGov na to, di ba? So parang ang problema ko dyan sa resign all na yan ay parang medyo wait lang. My fundamental argument kasi, Justice, is hindi ba si BBM, again, I don't want to use the word greater evil, lesser evil, but I think in terms of BBM, he's at least someone whose feet we can keep close to the fire, kumbaga, to use the Bernie Sanders term on Hillary Clinton. But the Dutertes are beyond redemption, if I can use that term. Although I'm sure Kiboloy will save their soul, but I don't know, Justice, you tell me.
Well, we'll have to wait because he has a chance to redeem himself. No? He has to announce. Will he do it? Well, it's unlikely, but I hope that he will do it for his own sake. No? Because I think this one, if he does not walk back on this General Appropriations Act, this will stick until the end of his term. And the congressman will demand the same thing next time. So he will have difficulty. And as you say, as uh, as you enter your second half, the second half of your term, you start to become a lame duck, no? So that will be the problem. But he can regain the trust of the people by making a correction. He can make a course correction now, uh, and he might still be able to redeem himself.
Um, he might be. Baka na may masasabi na tayo. What about Duterte's, Justice? Are they are they beyond redemption? I'm sure Kiboloy says they're bayani and angels and all, but what about them? What is your advice to
Well,
Sara?
the old man Duterte, I think he refuses to redeem himself because he said that he will go to hell and take over the crown of Satan, the
And
throne of
among
Satan.
other things, he said that I rather not say because it's blasphemous. Like, Dios mío. But by the way, yung kay BBM, you're absolutely right, Justice. He has to be careful. Actually, he has to be even more careful what could happen to him after he steps down from office, right? Yayarin siya. If kung may mga kababalagan silang gagawin ngayon, babalikan siya later, di ba? Once he's no longer the president.
Yeah, in fact, the two political families are in a death spiral because the I mean they've locked themselves into this. They're like two spiders, no, in a glass. There's no way out but uh, to kill each other, and I think that's the present situation because they started it. Well, Sara started it uh, with his very graphic presentation of his dreams, of her dreams.
A daydream. Just to be clear, as of 9:34 p.m. Ano ba araw, February 5, hinintay po natin yung Zoom press conference ni Sara. Baka just may part 2 na naman siya na pupurahin niya lahat ng mga nasa Congress. Ilan ba sila? 153 ba? Ilan ba? 158? Like, baka isa-isahin niya. Congressman ngayon! Ah! Congress! Hintayin natin yan, Justice Carpio. Inintay pa rin namin yung part 2 Zoom call. If you were Sara now, Justice, what would you do? Shut up na lang and then just hope for the best, or magwawala ka rin ng Zoom call na naman part 2? What do you suggest?
Well, of course, he will have to count the votes in the Senate after the election. That's the most crucial for her, no, to get acquitted. That's the objective, to get that number to prevent a two-thirds vote. And I think they will do everything in this election to ensure that they have enough people there to block a conviction. That's
Um,
their game plan now.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not like they didn't see this coming exactly, right? 208, 215 daw votes. Like medyo mahabang pagmumurahin mo isa-isa, medyo ubus laway yan. Okay. Okay, Justice. Last, before we go to our other favorite character person, Donald Trump and US, my goodness, que horror. Like, isa pang, dami natin content. Hindi, ito, Justice. In terms of genuine opposition, what should we do in the coming months and all to make sure we have right messaging, right prioritization, and right positioning? Do you think there's a chance for us to kind of build our own autonomous force and maximize the current situation without being sabog and being pulled in different direction? As Confucius said, a man who wants to catch two rabbits at once ends up with none, right?
Well, we have really a very small space to move because we really don't have candidates. In the Senate, how many candidates do we have? So, and they're not in the Magic 12 right now. No? So,
Si Kiko pasok sa SWS.
13, I think, is number 13 now.
Almost, right? I mean, almost. What do you think like
Yeah.
should be the messaging of Kiko? Like if you're Kiko right now, ano messaging mo? Aside from the usual, like yung mga advocacies niya, like on this issue, since maging defining to, di ba?
Well, he has to play it carefully. Uh, it's I don't know how you would see it because if you come out against Sara, you will lose certainly votes in Mindanao. I don't know where you can cover for that. So, and I think that's a problem also of many of these re-electionists.
Parang dami
That's
if you do, dami if you don't, no?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
they will all play safe as of now. So, uh, but we have come out with our list in the Sambayan, and we will stick to our list. And none of them except we have only uh, Kiko who's within
Striking distance. Yeah.
striking distance.
Yeah.
So I think he will make it eventually.
Yeah, I think Kiko has a good chance. I think Bam is just outside it, so I mean, the thing with Bam naman is Lenny Robredo is now openly going all out for him, right? That may be helpful because I mean, after Lenny has also a strong base, no? The maybe
Yeah,
that would help, no?
yeah.
Yeah.
The Bicol votes are quite a big block also.
Wasn't, let's hope there's still pink people out there, pink movement people out there, or whatever is left of that, in terms of giving it a chance. Um, and then just last point before we go to Donald Trump. Mm, since last time we talked, Justice Carpio, ano yung kalagayan ng diskusyon ng RevGov? Do you think with elections coming in, mawawala na yan, no? Kasi parang the fiesta mode na tayo, no? Pag elections na.
Yeah, in the meantime, because of elections, RevGov will be pushed into the background, but it will always be there. Uh, but there are two tracks now. You have the RevGov and you have the rule of law. That's my group. We were trying to achieve the same objectives, but within the Constitution. That's where we're filing all of these cases. And I hope that we win some of these cases to assure everybody that there's still hope uh, using the processes under the present constitution.
Meron naman anarchist, yung resign all para self-governing. Mag-commune na
Actually,
tayo.
the group decided to resign from the coalition, from the citizens and clergy for good governance, because they said, sorry, we did not ask for your permission to have this different. We went off track of the rail. So they
Hello,
actually, I think,
kung saan napunta? Ano to, resign
resigned.
all? Ano to, anarchist? I mean, like, may sariling sikap, bawat barangay may sariling gobyerno. Ano pa to? Sabi ko, talagang Pilipinas. Minsan yung opposition, kaibigan natin, kung saan-saan napunta. Kung saan. Anong resign all? Ano na yan? Baka mamaya si Baste at Sandro na lang ang president, vice president, at the rate we're going. Um, I'm just being honest, Justice. Minsan parang napapaisip ko. Do you think, Justice, there could be also kind of a January 6 kind of drama kung bugbog sarado yung mga Duterte sa elections? Let's say, Bongo lang manalo, isa lang barely. Talo si Bato, syempre panic mode niyan si Bato. You could see, di ba? Si Bato, you saw yung harapan niya with Karen Davila, di ba? Nung tinanong sa kanya, would you do what Lacson did during Arroyo's time, which was to escape? Go fugitive, go Harry Roque, di ba? Essentially. Ay, sorry, go Harry. Do you think that baka pagbugbog sarado sila sa election, which is not impossible, right? Parang si Bongo lang yung sure na magdadrama sila and manggugulo sila. Do you see that possibility post-election drama, kind of January 6 RevGov drama?
Well, I think they know that they don't have the military force to win in that kind of struggle. I think the 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 smarter thing for them to do is just to hide. Just like, for example, Lacson, just hide until the conditions become favorable again.
Essentially, do Harry Roque. Parang mahirap mag-hide kung ikaw si Bato de la Rosa. Like,
Well, I think they're welcome
hindi ako nagbabody
in
shaming.
China. I think China is putting the red carpet for them.
Ay, nako. Speaking of China, parang bakit China? Ayaw ba nila mag-Dubai, Harry Roque, Abu Dhabi? Hindi kaya ganon? Na, Justice, ano, sa tingin mo, kailan lilitaw ulit si Harry Roque?
Well, we really don't know. He's trying to. He's still. I think he will come back if he wins his case in the Supreme Court. I mean, but
Right, right.
uh, uh, uh,
Just to remind people, ano yung case ni Harry Roque sa Supreme Court and what are his chances?
I think he's trying to squash the order of the Quadcom to to to
Subpoenahin?
to yeah, to subpoena him.
What do you think is the
So,
legal chances? Do you think there's a good chance na he will win the Supreme Court case?
well, after June 30, the Congress expires. I mean, everything there, all those proceedings are terminated, so they cannot enforce the resolution anymore against
So
him.
you can just wait it out pala. Uy, so may chance for us to see Harry again soon. Ang daming kwento siguro. Gusto ko mag-Tony Talks with Harry. Hi, Harry! How was Abu Dhabi? Mga ganun. Anyway, going back to this Justice. Supreme Court, February na. Anong petsa na, Justice, in terms of ruling dun sa mga petitions niya, mga other things? PhilHealth, yung mga issues sa fiscal practices of the government.
Well, we had our oral arguments yesterday on field health, and it went very well. Uh, it's
Can you give
been
us, is that confidential, or can you, like, to the degree that you can
well.
share?
It was there was a radio broadcast. It was aired on radio verbatim, no? And one of the justices said that there's a COA report saying that PhilHealth is bankrupt. So that was after the Solicitor General was saying, and the other councils for the government were saying that PhilHealth is awash with cash, that they have more than enough to pay for all the expenses of PhilHealth. No? So uh, it's clear there are COA reports saying that PhilHealth is really bankrupt, negative 600 billion in equity. So it will be very difficult for the government to overcome that.
Yeah, let's hope the Supreme
So I
Court.
think if we
Yeah.
win that case, there's hope that yes, we can achieve these objectives without going through a RevGov.
Exactly, exactly. I appreciate it. Alam mo, actually, nag-worry ako nung last week nung sinabi ni Trillanes, si Kyle Trillanes, Senator Trillanes na he's worried that there could be another Antonio Trillanes in the barracks waiting for. Alam mo na, sabi ko, as a three-time alumnus of failed co attempts, sabi lang, ano masasabi natin dyan? Ang kulit ko. I think I'm the only one who dares to do that to my guest talaga. Talagang, balikan ang nakaraan. And just this last point on this again, kahapon nagkaroon ng hearing ng mga DDS trolls, DDS bloggers, among others, walang sumipot. Ang daming excuse. Yung isa sa Beijing, marami sila sa Beijing. Isa sa Beijing, nagpadala pa siya ng excuse doon sa show cause order. Meron pa siyang sinabi na, I'm doing my PhD on complexity theory at sinasama ko ang ganito, ganyan. Sabi ko, parang CV ang pinadala. But anyway, Justice, issues like double jurisdiction came in, issues like foreign malign influence, back disinformation came in. You think from a legal standpoint, should there be accountability for some of these bloggers who are, if ever they're found to, I mean, if ever there's a money trail, if ever it's my coordination with the malign foreign agents or something along those lines?
Yeah, actually, we have a Foreign Agent Registration Act that was it's a presidential decree by Marcos during martial law, but we all forgot about it, and it has never been implemented. I mean, the law is there, but there has been no prosecution under that law. I think we have to update that because it says if you are working for a foreign government, you get paid, you get compensation or emoluments, then you must register. It's not a crime, but you must register.
Pero if
Uh,
nagpapanggap ka na expert ka,
at
kahit may junket ka, may libre kang scholarship, lahat ganyan, lahat ng mga medyo hindi na tama 'yan, 'di ba?
yeah, well, a scholarship is not, but if you are in effect hired, you're employed, commissioned to do an act. So you have to report that just to register. And I think we should revive that, well, to update that law so that if there's a money trail, then you will be liable if you don't register.
And
Because
just
that's really the what China has been doing in the U.S. A lot of these Chinese have been caught in the U.S. and I'm sure they're doing it here.
right. And Justice, paano yung sinabi na nag-fake news daw tayo when we said ICC last? Ano, is that is that disinformation, Justice? Or nag-ano lang tayo? Nag-misfire lang.
Well, the ICC is still there. It has not, despite Trump's threats, it still exists, and the case is still live. And I think they will still resolve that issue on warrant of arrest.
And I think that's a perfect segue to the latter and last part of our discussion. Donald Trump. So, Justice Carpio, barely 2 weeks in, ang daming nangyari. Ang gulo ng US. My goodness, last week may Panama tayo and Greenland, and then biglang ngayon nadagdag pa yung Gaza, sanctions on South Africa dahil yung mga, I don't know, kamag-anak ni Elon Musk ay hindi natutuwa sa nangyayari doon. Like, what the heck is going on here, Justice Carpio? What the heck is this?
I think it just shows that you have a president of the US who just doesn't care about rule of law, about international law, about diplomacy,
About
about the
alliances,
comity,
about
about
alliances.
comity among nations. Talagang ano, it's probably the way he does business. He will threaten, and that's exactly what he's doing now. At least in his first term, he was a little bit careful. Maybe the advisors were more insistent that he follow the normal course of things. But now wala na. Mukhang nobody can stop him. He will just do what he wants, and that's the big danger there. You know, there. I think the US is losing a lot of friends by saying we will take over Gaza, that will become an American territory. We will throw out the Gazans, let them seek uh, a shelter, a refuge somewhere else, maybe go to
Sinai Desert.
Egypt,
Parang
Sinai Desert, or wherever. But that's terrible for people in the Middle East. That's really a no-no. That's a historic crime.
sacrilege. Yeah, yeah.
You know, they've been fighting for centuries, and here is an interloper who will say, "You all of you get out," and that is my land. I mean, the guy has no concept at all of orderliness, of international law, of respect for historical rights. Talagang ano, it's out of the blue. What if tomorrow he will say, "Oh, Philippines, you just give the South China Sea to China because it's named South China Sea." I mean, he can do that.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering how the Americans are taking it. Those who the educated Americans, those who are steeped in international relations, they're diplomats, for their president to say that we will take over Gaza, that's some American territory now. It breaks all rules of international law. It's against the UN Charter. You cannot seize territory by threat of force or use of force. I mean, it's just like Russia invading another country. And
Yeah, I mean,
here is the problem. Even the Israelis and the Gazans are Palestine are fighting over this small slice of territory, and here is a big nation said that's ours, out of the blue. I mean, it's really unhinged. From my point of view, that's really unhinged.
yeah, well, I mean, kung idol mo Andrew Jackson oversaw what? Genocide of Red Indians, American primeval Netflix series type, or ang idol mo si McKinley who colonized the Philippines and imperial frontier, crazy fiscal policy, yung mga type of guy, then I won't be surprised. I mean, to be honest, my sense is he just said things lang because Netanyahu was there and giving him pressure, and I think he doesn't want to have the war with Iran, so he's just saying stuff like that. But having said that, he's pissing off closest friends right and left, and Europe is coordinating to fight back if Greenland gets crazy, right? So there was a Finnish parliamentarians, head of the Finland's Foreign Affairs Committee, who tweeted the other day saying, Did you ever think comes a day na yung mga NATO European members will coordinate how to prevent invasion of a fellow NATO country or something from America, right? Like, so as we speak, the French are saying they might help Denmark to stave off an American forcible occupation of Greenland. But more importantly, forget about the Gulf of Mexico, America, blah, blah, blah. But etong tariff wars with Canada and Mexico, that was serious. Some estimates said that if na push through in 25%, up to 500,000 jobs could have been lost in Montreal and some of the key areas in Canada. But Justin Trudeau said, if the war is going to come, let's go. We'll also impose 25%. And eventually, nag-back out si Trump. So I don't know yung mga MAGA friend natin na patay kay Trump. I don't see what's the art of the deal there, aside from the fact na parang napaya siya. He's bullying people, but
Well,
US is also not that powerful to get his way anymore. Other countries are gonna fight back. They're not, hindi magpapabully ang ibang countries.
yeah, I think bottom line, the U.S. Unfortunately is losing friends because of what Trump is doing. I mean, you have a country like Canada who's so friendly, who's so solicitous to America. I mean, every time America goes to war, they are there together with the Americans. They send troops wherever Americans. Now it's incredible. I mean, you don't treat friends like that.
And
I mean,
Canada gives them subsidized oil and
I
gas.
do
I
not,
mean, yeah.
for me, there's no country that's more loyal to America, to the US than Canada. And here is Trump treating it, oh, we'll just make you our 51st state and we'll impose 25% tariff on everything. But he realized that the US imports 60% of its crude oil from Canada at a very good price. It's a very friendly price.
And Michigan's manufacturers would get massacred because a lot of their imports comes from Canada. Yung import. I mean, I don't want to use the word dumb, but I don't know about our MAGA friends here na tuwan-tuwa kay Trump, but that was as like we had our Duterte days and all, but this was really, really way out there. And in fairness, mukhang Canada and Mexico were able to put Trump in his own place, at least for now. As we speak, the European Union is openly warning the United States that if they continue to try to push their luck, Ursula von der Leyen, in a very important speech, sabi niya, the risk from China, but we're more than willing to build a special relationship essentially with China. I mean, essentially, Europe is warning Trump that we will go with China if you keep on trying to bully us. Because
That's
China
horrible.
is not doing this to us.
That's horrible for Trump to drive EU into the arms of China. That's horrible.
It will be game over. If China has EU on their side, that's the third largest economic bloc, 500 million people, the richest people, it's over. I really don't see what's the art of the deal grand strategy here. Honestly, Justice Carpio, I mean, whenever people say it's an art of the deal, it reminds me when yung si Digong will say something na walang kakwento ko. Sabi niya, hindi, ano yan? Sanju yan. Ano yan? Art of... Ayun talaga yung mga MAGA friends natin, very DDS. Kaya alam ko ba't mga DDS na love nila mga MAGA friends natin. I see a lot of similarities, no offense. And yeah, they're pissing off and then in the meantime, Elon Musk is pissing off the governments in Germany, pissing off the government in England, UK. And then now the South Africans are facing potential sanctions based on this fake news conspiracy, I don't know, alt-right about Africans getting oppressed. Like, Justice Carpio, this is like yeah, unhinged. This is you know
The entire the FBI filed a class suit against Trump because he's firing all of these people who were part of the investigation, but they were just doing their job, and they're protected by civil service rules. You cannot just fire them unless there is a reason for cause, and he's trying to do this to all U.S. government agencies. It's a mess what's happening there.
baka naman Justice hindi McKinley or si Andrew Jackson ang idol niya. Baka ang idol niya si Nero. or Caligula? Fiddling while the world is burning. Medyo Nero level na to eh.
Yeah, it's just incredible, unbelievable, and the when looking back, what he has been doing is really dumb. That trade war is a dumb trade war. and
Akala ko,
the, he's gotten the American farmers in a bad shape now because China is not buying soya beans from them. It's buying from Brazil and South America and South Africa and Russia and other countries. And there's no other buyer except the biggest buyer is China. Once you lose the Chinese market, you just can't find another buyer that's that big.
let's spell it out, Justice, no? Actually, Trump is helping China, right? He's making US look so bad, suspending aid, pissing off allies, pushing them into Chinese embrace. Trump is great for China, right? Trump will make China great again, right? I mean, let's be honest. What he's doing is music to the ears of the Chinese. Like, ngayon, Brazilians love China. Europeans are softening on China. Even BBM, yung isang araw, di ba sabi ng BBM, actually, kung mabait naman kayo sa amin, okay lang, papalisin namin itong mga Typhoon missile and all, di ba? Like, the guy is like,
Yeah, there might come a time that we don't know. Uh, we don't know whether we're better off with Americans or the Chinese.
well,
But at least below the level of Trump, all the people there in the State Department, the armed forces, the Senate, the Congress, the rank and file, they're all our friends. But it's only the top guy who's unhinged.
you forgot Elon Musk, who's not necessarily our friend. I think Elon Musk is a very China friend, very Kremlin friend, isn't he? Wouldn't you be worried with the Elon Musk influence also in this admin?
Well, I think there's a group that's suing now for exercising government powers without the responsibility of a government official because, yeah, he's asking for information that cannot be given to private parties.
Exactly, and conflict of interest issues not to mention, right? I mean,
Yeah.
people forget he didn't invent Tesla, he bought into Tesla, and people forget SpaceX, a lot of his projects are actually Pentagon government projects, right? So I'm not saying the guy is not smart. I think he's smart. I think he has a lot to offer to the world, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. Justice Carpio, where the heck does that leave the Philippines right now? Because to be honest, Justice, the slight disagreement I have with you, diba, last time I mentioned sa Utak Forum, actually, even below Trump, he appointed a bunch of isolationists, buyers who's in charge of the Pentagon's South and Southeast Asia Deputy Assistant Secretary. He openly said, Trump the realist, what we should do is just cut the deal with China, take out all the Typhoon and EDCA and let the Chinese just have fewer patrols, right? You also have a bunch of so-called restrainers. That's the correct, politically correct terms. So the friends we have are like Elbridge Colby, right? These are the prioritizers, Rubio, etc. But there are also those kind of a Jacksonian isolationists. Aren't they worrying?
Well, I think we should the the roles have been reversed. I mean, the Americans looked at this when we had Duterte as our president. That was their big worry. They said, "Here is a guy who's unhinged, but everybody below are our friends." It's the reverse now. We're looking at the U.S. Here is a guy who's unhinged, but everybody below are friends. So we just have to wait this out because this guy with there's no way that this guy can change the U.S. permanently in the same way that Duterte could not change the Philippines permanently. Permanently, I mean, we,
You believe the
we
institutions will hold still? That
yeah,
they
the institutions will hold. So we just have to wait this out. That's the way I look at it. That's why I said everybody below Trump are friends. In the same way that the US before, when they look at Duterte, everybody below Duterte are friends. So we'll just wait this out.
should we threaten to sever our mutual defense treaty with
You know, I wouldn't be surprised if he can do that to NATO. He can do that to everybody.
No, like unahin natin si Trump. If you mistreat that, we'll just get out and join China. At least they're offering us BYD and Huawei with 50% discount. And like, it's like, akalain mo, Justice, kung bibili ka ng Huawei, ano ngayon, a laptop, a cellphone, may free ka pang, DJI na quadcopter. Like, ang dami mga freebies ang China. Yung US parang walang pera eh. Like, what are they offering us? Nasaan yung pera ng US? Yung mga billion-billion daw, sabi nila noon. Totoo ba yan? Parang malabo to, Justice ah. I don't wanna be, I mean, hindi ako anti-US. I'm just saying, as much as we're critical of China, wag naman tayo magmangmang, di ba? Dito naman sa kabila, medyo alanganin din eh. I'm just being realistic. I love the Philippines. I want to prioritize. We have good friends on the other side, but Trump is the president. He calls the shot. He can fire Rubio any moment. He can fire some of our friends there any moment, right? We saw it. It's the apparentist show. So, oh my goodness. Justice, should we open up communication channels directly with China ourselves and say to China, let's cut the deal ourselves? Or you're saying wala tayong leverage anyway, let's just be careful. Like what about that?
Well, China, if you want to cut a deal with China, you'll have to give up the West Philippine Sea to China. That's their bottom line.
You don't see any point in direct negotiations with China.
No.
What
Well,
about
we can always talk. I'm in favor of always talking, but we should be realistic because China looks at us as a very tiny country. We're not nuclear armed. We have practically no air force right now. We have small planes only. So for them, we had a group of Filipinos who went there recently, uh, uh, non-government, and that's exactly how the Chinese treated them. You're just a small country. Just follow us. You cannot win against us. That's that's the way they treat us. If we sit down with them, they will say, just accept the 10 dash line because you can never win over us.
and Justice, what if padala natin si Imelda Marcos to meet Donald Trump? Di ba back in the day, pinapadala siya kay Gaddafi, kay Fidel Castro, shuttle diplomacy. Do you think we can kind of like get mom, like, yeah, like, hindi.
Well, those days are over.
Stem cell na natin yan, medyo. Hindi kaya pwede, Justice Carpio, baka naman.
Well, the Chinese know what they want, and they will not budge uh, because they know that they think that they can take what they want to without compromising anything, without giving us anything.
So last point,
That's their position. Just accept because you cannot do anything.
so assuming we're gonna have 3 years and 11 months of chaos, right? On every front. Actually, yung lecture ko kanina was Age of Disruption. So I was talking about chaos on every front, Simon Tay. Alam mo yung movie, Justice Nanalo sa Hollywood na lang everywhere, all at once, ganyan, parang ganun na nangyari. What should be our, kumbaga, hunker down strategy? Kasi dangerous yung next 2 to 3 years, di ba? There could be war over Taiwan, China could use more muscular approach, Trump could throw us under the bus. Kumbaga, survival kit natin, kumbaga National Geographic, ano yung gagawin natin, Justice Carpio, as a nation?
Well, first of all, let's enter into uh, reciprocal access agreement or VFA agreement with all countries that we can, like-minded states.
France, India, Korea,
Yeah,
mga
and accelerate our AFP modernization because at the end of the day, we might be alone in defending our territory, our maritime zones, and we should not give up. I mean, we have to defend what's ours, and let's tell our senators and congressmen, forget about your pork barrel. Just there is one military guy who said, if we get all those pork barrel and use it to to buy frigates, aircraft, we will be a very strong country militarily.
We can
Just
have a
forget
nuclear
about the.
weapon. We can have a nuclear weapon.
I mean, that's the solution. Forget about your pork barrel for 5 years, and we will be very strong militarily.
Very good point, Justice. I mean, kinaltasan niya ng 14 billion pesos, no? Yung original budget na propose ng DND.
Yeah,
So
because what they're saying is 20% of our budget is wasted on corruption. If we can get that back, put that into external defense for 5 years, we are we are in good hands. We will be as strong as we can be.
I have one more suggestion. Siguro padamihan natin yung mga Trump Towers sa Philippines. Justice, maglagay tayo ng Trump Tower sa Spratlys, sa Cagayan. May theory ngayon eh, pag may Trump Tower ka, hindi ka iwanan ni Trump, di ba? So, Georgia, Philippines, may mga ilan bansa na safe ngayon. I'm just being as creative as I can. Padamihan natin kasi may Trump Tower tayo dyan sa may Makati, di ba? Mandaluyong Bridge. Padamihan natin, bawat EDCA base, lagay natin ang Trump Tower, Trump Tower. And who knows, maybe things will work in the right direction. Maraming salamat, Justice Carpio. Sorry, medyo na late tayo, but thank you very much for another comprehensive, sincere, and patriotic conversation. Parati po tayo natutuwa sa mga sinasabi niyo. And looking forward also to catching up in person soon. Pag-usapan natin, Justice, kasi there are gonna be Supreme Court rulings, there are gonna be some very serious development, and malapit na ang election season. Mabuhay ka, Justice Carpio. Is there anything you want to add, Justice Carpio, before we stop disturbing you?
Well, that's good enough for now, Richard. That was quite a lot of.
Tremendous,
Yeah,
tremendous.
we covered a lot of things.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you very much. Thank you,
Okay,
Tony.
Richard.
Thank you, Tony. That was great. That was
Okay,
great. Talk
bye.
to you soon, Justice. God bless. Salamat.